It is important to identify your team members early and inform them of your plans to involve them in your startup, even if they may not be scheduled to start work immediately. Your team members can become unavailable at any time for a variety of reasons. Therefore, it's important to have contingency plans in place to handle such situations. Many different specialists, third parties, and tools are required for a startup. And in this video, I will list out all the resources that a startup typically needs. So keep watching. Hi everyone, this is Vivek Shrivastava. Welcome to a lessons learned episode of my channel, Journey of an Entrepreneur. In this video, I will emphasize the importance of getting your team together first. Now, starting your own venture is exciting and you're just raring to get going. However, you need to get your team together first. This includes planning for team members whose work begins immediately, as well as for those whose work is later on down the road. You will need to plan and set things up with all of them right from the beginning. The last thing you want is for a key team member to be unavailable at a crucial time and you find yourself scrambling to replace him. What will happen in a situation like this is a chain reaction where other important tasks that are dependent on that person's work will be either blocked or delayed. This will result in time delays and cost increases for your project. Also, when you frantically try and search for someone to replace that person, you will end up hiring someone who is probably not quite good enough, but happens to be available at that time. And then that person being not quite good enough will end up causing problems later on down the road. This happened to me in my startup when a key team member that I thought I had in place ended up having to be replaced. And then I hired one person after another who wasn't quite good enough and couldn't get the job done. It took me a long time to find the right person for the job who could get it all done properly. This resulted in a lot of time delays and cost increases for my project. In a situation like this, if your budget is tight, then you may not be able to come up with the extra money needed to handle this, and your startup will likely end. This, unfortunately, is what happens to a lot of startups. The challenging thing is that any of your team members can become unavailable at any time due to a variety of reasons. If anything, the events of the last couple of years have shown how much and how quickly things can change. So ideally, you should have contingencies in place. For example, if you've hired a programmer to do some software development work for your startup, you should have another programmer aware of your project and capable of stepping in if necessary. Now, obviously, this type of contingency planning will cost more. And there will still be some time delays and cost increases when a contingency person takes over from the original person. But if planned properly in advance, these delays and costs will be much lower. Contingency planning is not limited to just people, but includes third-party organizations, third-party software, third-party tools, etc. So please make sure you have all of these identified before you start. This includes preferably having worked with them previously and having knowledge of their strengths and weaknesses and having a certain level of trust with that. Now, I can't give you a blanket list of who and what you will need because that is dependent on your startup and the specific requirements of what you will be doing. For example, a startup that is a fitness facility will require different people and different third parties than, say, a mobile app startup. A list of team members that you will probably need, no matter what your startup is, will be 1. A legal team or person. And I'm listing this first for a reason. There will be many legal issues that will have to be sorted out right from the beginning, and you will want to make the correct decisions on all of them. If you make a wrong decision from a legal perspective, it will be usually very difficult and very expensive to sort out later on. 2. An accounting person or firm. This is crucial from the point of view of bookkeeping, tax filing, financial regulations, etc. You do not want your accounting to get out of control because during tax filing time, you'll be frantically trying to catch up with your bookkeeping, and this will keep you away from crucial tasks that need to be performed. Also, make sure you have a good system of tracking your income and expenses. Typically, during the startup phase, you have negative cash flow and you're not making a profit. But this does not exclude you from tax filing and other regulatory obligations. A good accountant will help you manage all of this. 3. A UI graphics designer. It is important to have mock-up screens ready right at the beginning and to have your final UI screens ready as soon as possible. UI designers may not all be a match for the graphical vision that you may have for your startup. So you will need to find the correct one that matches your artistic taste. 4. A UX designer. Sometimes you can get a UI designer who also has proficiency in user experience design, but usually you'll have to find a different person. If your product or service is software-based, the user experience design will define the ease and comfort your customers experience while using it. Do not skip the services of a good UX designer if your startup is software-based, such as a website or mobile app. 5. A website developer. Keep in mind that these are often different from application developers because different languages and skill sets are involved. 6. An SEO specialist. Again, usually different from the website developers or application developers. 7. Application developers. These are required if you're building a program or a mobile app or a complicated website. Now keep in mind that within the world of software developers, you have business analysts, system analysts, front-end programmers, back-end programmers, database developers, quality assurance testers, user acceptance testers, and then on top of all of that, a project manager or project lead with whom you will likely interface on a regular basis. Also, care must be taken to hire the right development staff that has had previous experience in the type of thing that you are developing for your startup. For example, if your startup is developing something like a GPS-based app that uses Google Maps, then you want to hire developers who have had past experience in creating something like that. And you don't want to hire developers who are going to be developing that for the first time in their lives. Also, keep in mind that many software languages exist, and developers will have knowledge of only a few specific languages. Therefore, you will have to hire developers who have proficiency in the languages that your startup is using for its software development. 8. Marketing staff or agency. Depending on your startup's marketing needs, you will require digital marketers, ground-level marketers, media marketers, etc. A lot can be said about the world of marketing, but for now, I will simply state that you want to have your marketers identified and on board as early as possible, as they will provide valuable market insights that could inspire you to modify your startup's products and services. Furthermore, marketers need time to strategize and plan for the execution of whatever marketing tasks that need to be performed. You can't just hire a marketer and expect him to start marketing your startup's products and services right away. Usually, they need 2 to 3 months to ramp up and get going. 9. Public relations, either a person or agency. This in the beginning may be performed by the marketing people that you have in place, especially if they have good media connections. However, you will eventually have to hire a person or agency that has specific expertise in this. As always, it's best to hire someone early, as they will likely provide valuable market insights to you. And finally, various other people as needed. For example, I had to hire a software algorithm writing specialist to write specific algorithms for my startup app. It wasn't a big job, but I did have to hire this specialist because the application developers that I had already hired and were in place were simply not capable of doing this. Fortunately, the numerous freelancing options available on the net today make finding these kind of specialists a bit easier. So, to re-emphasize, you want to have all the required people, third parties, and tools identified and in place as early as possible, even though they may not be starting work right away. You will want to let them know that you're beginning a startup and that they will be involved in it in their particular roles. You will also want to let them know the scope of their work and plan for their time and availability. They may be busy and may not be available when you need them, so booking their time in advance is a good idea. Ideally, you will have worked with all of these people in the past, but if it's your first startup, then you probably don't have the appropriate people in your contact list to reach out to hire. In this case, you will have to make an effort to identify the correct people and then somehow vet them so that you get the best people possible within your budget. I will make more videos on this topic in the future. However, for those of you who are still thinking of doing a startup, a useful activity for you would be to start reaching out to the correct people and building up a list of all these resources that I mentioned, so that when you are ready to start, you will have all the correct people identified. So that's all I had for the topic of getting your team together. This was only to inform you about the importance of identifying and getting your team together early. Managing them through the entire project is a whole other video. To be honest, multiple videos. I will create more videos that covers the topic of managing the entire project. I hope you found the content useful. Please comment below and provide your feedback. See you all next time. Take care and good luck, everyone.